Hi, everyone. This is Sue Brook from DiscoverYourEye.com and SueBrook.com and DiscoverYourEyeBooks.com. We can talk about that later. Today, I want to talk about marketing ideas for businesses and let everybody come in and just talk about your business and ask questions. And we've got some awesome people in the room here. Tim, who is a blogging expert, and he helps people come up with brands for their businesses. And Susan, the relationship expert, she has an awesome business. And you were a business coach, right, Susan?
I was a long time ago, yeah.
Yeah. And I own an educational learning center in Santa Clarita, and my passion is helping business owners come up with great ideas and market their business and become stand out in their industry. So let's start with Tim. Tim, tell us about your business and what you do and who are you?
Okay, I created a thing a couple years ago called the Rock and Roll Keys to Business Success. I love rock and roll music, I love motorcycles, and I love mentorship. So I put the three of them together to create keys that help business owners be successful. Small keys that make a big difference in your business. And the greatest thing that I'm working on right now is called Rock Around Your Blog. I help coaches, speakers, and direct sales entrepreneurs build a personal brand and then find a way to blog about it to attract new business.
Love it. Awesome. And you're a blabbing, I don't know if you're the king of blab, but you might be a prince.
I'm not a king. I'm not claiming to be an authority on this. All I do is use blab to build my business.
That's awesome. So what has it done for you so far? How many, you getting followers, getting clients? What kind of things has Blab done for you?
It has increased my email list, but it also apparently got someone to hack my email this morning because I've gotten 600 mailed undeliverable messages this morning, which means someone hacked my email overnight and used my email address to email everybody.
Oh, wow.
I'm in the middle of fixing that right now.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Wow, well, that's not good. So, Susan, tell us about you and your business.
Well, my business is called Getting What You Want. And, I always say that I'm a relationship expert, but I'm a life coach that specializes in relationships. And I used to be a business coach many, many years ago. I worked with Michael Gerber for a couple of years, 3 years actually, and worked directly with him in his coaching business. And so I learned a lot about small business there. And before that, I was a hospital administrator. I ran emergency departments. So I had a lot of experience with crisis intervention.
Okay.
And so the good news about that is that it translates really well into relationship coaching because that's a lot of crisis.
Yeah, I'm sure.
We'll have a lot of crisis in there. And along the way, I've done several things. I've published a couple of books of my own. This one, Dating After 40, No More Excuses, is a little itty-bitty kind of book. And this is my first book, How to Get What You Want from Your Man Anytime. And it's basically a relationship strategy that works for both men and women, but it's marketed to women because women buy those kind of books and men usually don't. Most of the men who've read my book hide it inside a Playboy magazine because they don't want anybody to see how to get what you want from your man anytime. And then I am actually the publisher of this book, which is the first of our Discover Your Eye series, which is in conjunction with Sue. She and I are the co-authors, what do you call us?
Collaborators.
We're co-producers of this series. This is the first book in the series, Discover Your Identity. The second one that we're working on filling right now, we're looking for authors, is Discover Your Inspiration. And somewhere I have a calendar, but I don't know what I did with it. I moved it, so it's not right here. I'll have to get it. Oh, there it is. And so I'm the producer of this wonderful calendar. It's along the lines of the... yeah, it's that kind of a calendar. and the purpose of this calendar is to support women entrepreneurs. And it started out just kind of like a fun idea and something really awesome and fun to do, to make a beautiful calendar with all these beautiful women who range in age from 50 to 75. And what it turned into is a fabulous opportunity to promote women entrepreneurs and to the experience of having the photos taken was huge for each of the participants. What happened is they all they went outside their comfort zone to have these photos taken, and in going outside their comfort zone and having the photos taken, they grew. And so several of those women in that calendar said, "There's no way I would ever participate in an event like that." And then they did it and came back and said, "Wow, what a fabulous experience." So they all grew from it. And it's like, I believe that women are very creative. Men are creative too, but they're creative in a different way. They're much more linear. Women are more circular, and they are more about the experience than they are about the end result. And I think that's the difference, a big part of the difference in the way women entrepreneurs function in the world. I mean, we market differently, we sell differently, and hopefully we get great results too. So, like I said, my business is called Getting What You Want, and that's my website too, Getting What You Want. So that's me.
Excellent. Hi.
Hi, Joey.
Great. Hi, Joey.
How are you?
Oh, good. Your sound is a little funny. Is it for everybody else?
Everybody hear me?
He sounds like a robot.
Sounds like a robot, dude.
You sound like
He does. He sounds like I robot.
Sorry, guys. I don't know. You want me to stay on? Like this?
I want to try turning your headset off and back on again and see if that makes a difference.
Okay.
It does sound like Star Wars. Mobility for all says to restart for Joey.
We have to restart. Let me see. I sound like a robot.
Yeah, it's pretty hard to understand.
Yeah, you've got to get that fixed, dude. That's bad.
Yeah, it's funny actually. Anybody else want to sit down real quick while he's waiting to come
Hi,
back?
Cliff. Come in.
So there we go. Coming on in.
Hello.
Awesome.
Hi, that was
Hi,
fun.
Cliff.
My,
Oh, that's
I'm trying to get my hair to stand straight up. It isn't quite there yet. Sorry.
It's morning.
It was hair raising, actually. How you doing, guys?
Good one.
We're good.
Good.
I've been
So
kind
tell
of
us
watching you guys the last 48 hours. Tim, I've seen you for a few weeks now. I've been in the lurk zone around, but you usually have 4 people in a room. When Tim's in a room, like people come like, I don't want to say like flies onto something, but
Like locusts.
They just show up. Locusts. That's
Locusts.
But I love what he's doing, and some of the things I want to throw out some stuff to you guys because I'm in the transition point right now. Aside from my hair, that's transitioning out. I've been doing technical work most of my adult life, but I've been really a student of communication and storytelling and helping people kind of navigate not only the digital world, but life in general. And have had a pretty good run at it. In the last 11 years, I've been doing no marketing or sales at all, and I just end up having people come to me. So this is the way it's been. I'm a natural, I guess, attractor for people, a counselor, a coach, in terms of business and even life and health-based stuff. So that's kind of where I've been, and I want to kind of transition away from the IT stuff, which I've been helping a lot of people in that zone stay safe in the digital world, and help them in the nuances of the digital world as well. So here I am with you guys, and it's kind of cool because I just said, well, marketing ideas per boat, and then I heard you guys open up. And it may be just serendipity, as my life kind of is. I put things out there, and the right people show up at the right time. So you guys may be right here, right now, for the reason I am. So there's my short story. Mobility for All, I'm going to be transitioning out of that for Twitter and Blab. I've been in here for at least, I think, a month or two, somewhere in that range, but you guys can tell better than I can. That's my brother-in-law's deal. It's a great thing. I help him out moving crutches, canes, walkers, wheelchairs from the United States basements and garages out to not only Africa, but other places that need them desperately. And it's a great thing to take up some time out of my day and actually do and give back in a way that very few people can. And there's a story behind that, but I won't go into it today. My goal right now is to brand. So Tim, I know you're busy taking care of your email hack there, but I'm really trying to focus in, and I've been doing some good sessions with some folks directly and on Blab and personally on the phone, and just throwing it out there and see what the minds of Blab and beyond. You guys are awesome, by the way. Think. And by the way, I love the iBooks. I checked those out a day before yesterday. Yeah, it's chicken soup for the eye. That's what I would call it. But it's great. I mean, you're going out, you're getting great stories from people. You're working on the inspiration book now.
On inspiration, we're looking for authors. Am I right?
Really want to find
I would consider that either myself or my brother-in-law. It would be a great story to tell his story about what's happened over the last 8 years. Very inspiring. People get chills when they hear his coming to it. He has polio. He's dealt with it his entire life. He's 65 now, and he goes over to Africa and delivers these crutches, canes, walkers, and stuff to the people out in the middle of the bush. So it's a great story, waiting to be told. And the only reason we don't push it in terms of market that is because we can't handle the logistics of getting in all of the stuff that will come in. However, there's always that one wonderment of if we had some more money. It's all on a shoestring. Yeah. I mean, we put 130,000, I believe, is the number now. People up on either a good crutch or walker, or wheelchair that they're basically, if they're lucky, they're on a stick or a pair of sandals, dragging themselves through the mud. In fact, there's one guy we have some pictures of. He's actually in a wheelbarrow. That's where he lives, and he's just so twisted up from polio. It's amazing pictures and some video coming out over the last number of years that they brought back, and it's a great story. So we'll talk about that. Right now, I'm in the midst of this whole thing about helping other people in mass instead of just one-on-one. And of course, I can do the one-on-one coaching, counseling, soul mentoring, that kind of thing. It's just naturally been there. But looking to brand it right now because I've got to move away from the mobility for all on the Twitter. 35 days, huh? Okay, thanks for that. And get myself branded. I may just brand Cliff Bodenweiser because it's not Jack Smith, right? There's only two of us in the world that I know of, and so that might work. It doesn't tell anybody anything, but like Sue Brook, that works as well. But so here I am. I'm in the midst of trying to get a niche because I certainly know I can help people do many things. One of them is what's your message and how do you get it out there? How does it come across? And so many people struggle with that. And now with the advent of Blab coming out, I'm very excited about this for people to get their message heard in ways that they couldn't. A lot of introverts are here, extroverts, all across the board can come here and test themselves out in this great, place where it's not like a bunch of haters. The haters kind of, if they're hating on the side, and you can hit the X and all, so you got some control here. And I really like the idea of bringing communication, bringing back the art of storytelling and connecting between humans back. And that we've lost it, for a myriad of reasons over the last number of decades.
You might want to consider doing some group coaching because I've been doing group coaching for a couple of years now, and it's really it's like a catalyst. What happens is the people in the group accelerate. They absolutely, they participate, and their participation accelerates the growth of the other people in the group, and it really gets to be fun. I keep my groups small though.
Right, Sue.
You're building a community, Susan, because they're starting to promote other people, so they're bringing more people to you. It's the power of a mastermind. Tim and Susan and I are all in the Rockstar Mastermind program, and it's so interesting because it's really not about Craig and the head of the mastermind so much anymore. It's more of a community. We've all built really awesome friendships, and that's what it's all about, I think.
Tim, are you an offish thought over there?
And Craig or Cliff, I'm going to ask you, by looking at your stuff here, you say you want to create a personal brand. You want to change your brand. I'm reading what your profile right now. You've got the perfect brand. Why are you looking elsewhere?
Are you talking about mobility for all?
Yeah. Your name,
Because
buyyourname.com, and I'm Cliff, you know what I mean? Mobility for all. I mean, you've got a perfect line of what you could do. It kind of is very self-explanatory.
oh, I know. It's easy for people of all ilks to immediately see the benefit and the thing. The issue there is it's not my deal. It's my brother-in-law's, and it's okay for me to be supporting it. I love him and love the project and do everything I can on the business side, tech side, and even on the communication side to help him. However, it is his thing, and there are limitations therefore. So while it's a wonderful project and program, and there's no question about any of that for sure, and it brings a whole. I've been working with them for years on it. There's no way for me to survive. They're barely making it on donations as it goes. While it's a 501c3 and they're all set up that way, there are limitations there. If it was my deal, I would run it a bit differently, turn it into a B corporation, and really get out there and start putting those logistics together so that we have UPS or FedEx on board, so people could just go walk into a UPS store and just hand them a pair of crutches, and that's it. They walk out. That's a beautiful thing, but that's a huge Mount Everest to climb with those guys. So that's just an idea. I'm sorry, Tim?
Yeah, but here's what I'm going to ask you is who's the front of making that a nationwide thing, a worldwide thing? Who's in the front to make that look like a worldwide vision?
Well, that's my brother-in-law, David Talbot.
Is he out there in the forefront, in the media, making this?
No, because he's running it his way. He wants to keep it small. He doesn't want it to turn into something too huge. Not that he doesn't want to serve the most people he can. I think he can't handle it. And there's a number of issues that are offline about that. So it's his thing. You know, I'm not going to be treading on him. I've helped him, support him all the ways I could. And it's a beautiful thing. There's no question about it. People get it. It's instantaneous. It's wonderful. But it's not me. My thing is to do bigger, actually, things for more people in terms of maybe technology, tying technology back, giving people back some time and some ability to focus a little bit more. And my challenge right now is obviously branding that, and also because people love people who are working in verticals or niches as opposed to the generalist, which I've always been a generalist, a good generalist, but people just don't, they just don't respect that. You know, you've got to have some sort of a vertical where people say, oh, he's the dentist to the stars, or the IT guy to the doctor.
Yeah, you know, I just went to a master, Susan and I went to a really intimate mastermind this past week, and that's exactly what we were talking about. What you just said, Cliff, is, you know, niche yourself. So I was saying, well, I love helping small business owners grow their business and become unique. Well, okay, that's this huge thing. Why don't I niche it down? I'm really passionate about single female business owners. I am one, and I know how hard it is. So the whole group came up with, well, you need to market to that group, you know, and be a niche, and then you're the expert in that.
It's like the Tim Ferriss thing. He didn't come out, and he wasn't the 4-hour chef to start out with, a 4-hour everybody. You know, he was, hey, you can do anything in 4 hours. I mean, he would never have sold a book. But he came in, you know, as he did. Now he's got 3 books, and people follow him and listen to him as a sage guy what he does is what I'm looking to do, is aggregate. And this is the thing, what I see on the internet, especially with all of the offerings that are out there. And a lot of them are noise, and they dump you into a course for X $1,000 or hundreds of dollars or $97, and see you later. So one of the things that came to me yesterday as I'm processing this heavily is helping people kind of find their way through that quagmire. Not only to find the right courses and information for them and direct them to people who I personally feel like, you know, Tim has got great stuff, and Sue, I'm getting in. Susan, I just got exposed to you yesterday. And find the sage people out there, not the people that are just sell, and see you later. And I think that's the feeling I'm getting. I've been a matchmaker, Susan, all my life, in terms of I was a recruiter for 15 years in executive recruiting for large and small companies, entrepreneurial startups, and I even worked for a little company called Intel on the Hill. You may have heard of them. But
where physically are you? What part of the country?
Boston.
Boston.
Yeah.
What is? I mean, when you got to go through your history and stuff. When I take people to build their personal brand. Number one, I'd ask you where you're going to go. Number two, where have you been?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I want to know your history as to why you want to do it. All right. And how I found my brand and myself is I sold $1 million business.
Right.
Walked away with nothing, and I wrote myself out with a do not compete clause to get out of it.
Mm-hmm.
I had to go bankrupt to figure out what I wanted to do next.
Right.
I hope you don't have to take that back.
No. I mean, I'm here. I'm doing very well. I'm into multiple six figures. I don't need. It's not a matter of that. But if I stop working today, that all goes away.
Well, the thing you need to think about doing, and I will say that this is what's happened for me, is you gravitate to what you really love. Right. Because I started out as a business coach, and then I moved into the relationship arena, and I was coaching couples, and I hated it. I absolutely hated it. I said, this is not for me. So then I quit, and then I went back to coaching singles, and I was actually working at the studios with all these men, and I was coaching all these men through relationship crisis, through their wives dying, wives cheating, them cheating, having affairs, and that it goes on all the time. Yeah, there's a lot of it. So, what happens is you will eventually, I don't mean eventually, you will stumble upon what works for you, what really lights you up and turns you on. So you've been doing this type of advising. So the people that gravitate to you are the ones that you're going to help. And as long as you get satisfaction out of helping them, that's where you're going to gravitate to.
Yeah, well, that motivates me. It's not the technology. I'm not a geek. I don't need the latest, greatest, or need to know the latest, greatest new techie thing. It's always been about helping people. And I went driving down the street in 2004 and said, this is a great way for me to make a living while helping people. In other words, I can navigate and solve any problem pretty much, put my brain and heart into it. And that's the key, is that I've seen that up until these days that we're in now, people in general, not everybody, but have been really using their brain in their hands and not their hearts. And that's where I'm more of a soul-based person than you would expect coming from the IT side. So you've got to kind of get rid of all those preconceived ideas that, oh, well, he's an IT guy. He must not be able to work on both sides of his brain or be in touch with his feminists, all these things that people think when you think IT. I just took that route because people struggle with it. And I can solve those level problems. I can get into the technology as well as the people. And I spent as much time coaching people on the nuances of life in the digital age as much as fixing their computers and stuff. So, Tim's. Yeah, go ahead, Tim. It's cool. It's probably his wife. How am I going to drive that motorcycle tonight in the rain?
Yeah, Anthony is asking a question. What do you like to do? So he's talking over.
Thanks for catching that. Well, what motivates me is the satisfaction of having people either feel better and more comfortable, get more comfort where they are. And that's what I tell people when they talk with me about my business. I said, we sell blankets in the wintertime is what we do here. Yeah, we work on computers and technology and people's psyche in terms of getting them more comfortable after we're done with them. And we remote right into their PCs instantly. We take care of things right away. That's what everybody needs today. So we're not your typical old house call geek people. But a very small team, and we work really strongly on the connection and building that community with my clientele. And so they refer like crazy. I've never advertised once in 11 years, and my business is doing phenomenal. And people say, well, you're crazy. Just stay where you are. Don't stretch yourself. And that's
No.
not me. It's not just because I like
You know
a
what?
challenge, because I'm not doing my heart-based work. And Susan, you're right. But I've got a whole board I keep looking over here. I've got a lot of areas I can go. I can go into customer disservice and help people right out of the gate do that work and become more aware, give them feedback on what's going on, either on the website, the way that people are answering the phone, the way they're presenting something, and immediately give them ROI. And so in the business domain, we can do that. It's a little bit more difficult, I think, Susan and Sue, to do that in the generic domain. So look, I can help you in any area of your life. Just come to me. I'm a sage guy, and I can figure things out, which I could. And I have for many people. In fact, most people go, how did you figure that out? Within minutes of meeting them. So I've got that naturally built in. But that's where I want to work. I don't want to be really working in the critical, I see this, your doorknob's falling off your business or off your website, or it's the customer experience on this sucks. You need to tune this up or make it easier for people to find your offering, those kinds of things that are out there. So going back to where I was before, I think what I had this mini epiphany this morning, or late last night. It all blurred together. It was 3 o'clock, I think. Where turning my matchmaker ability to take in a lot of data and compress it down and compile it so somebody has a guide. I have a guide to hand to them so that they can make their decisions and do it for themselves. I'm not here to fish for people. I'm here to show them not only how to fish, but how to fish for community. And that's the beauty in what is going on. I think there's a big shift right now, even aside from Blab, in the world, that people need this community. They need to feel connected. They can't get to church every day, and they may not have a church, and so this may be a new community for people. And I know it is. So it excites me to be here.
What's good about this, and I will comment, because not that I have a fear of the technology, but at that little mastermind we were at the other day, there was this very young man there, and he was really excited about doing virtual reality events. And it was scaring me. It was actually horrifying because you put these glasses on and you sit in your bed and then pretend that you're in a room with a room of other people who are home sitting in their bed with these glasses on and pretending like you're in a room with avatars talking to each other. And I'm like, no.
What is this world
the thing
coming
is
to?
that what's exciting to me is the ability to be able to actually meet and interact with people. And I tell my clients all the time, please do not communicate about serious subjects by text. And they do it all the time. And I'm like, what are you doing? I got a text.
Or funny subjects.
Oh, I got a text from one of my girls the other day. And I want to talk to this. What do you think about this text I'm sending him? And it was all about, well, when you invited me over and that other girl was here and she said you two were in a relationship, and what does that mean? And I'm like, don't you dare. And I'm like, I didn't answer her. And I was like, oh, I hope she doesn't send that text. And then I talked to her 2 days later and I said, so what did you do? She said, well, you didn't answer me. I said, I know. And I said, I was horrified that you were even considering it. And she said, well, I didn't send it. I said, hallelujah.
Oh my gosh.
Anthony.
How are you? I want to say hi to Sue. Hi to Susan. Cliff, I'm only talking to you because I'm letting the whole Boston thing go. Okay, I'm from New York. Sorry, Patriot.
What's the matter? Wait a minute. You're a little too far away from the microphone.
All right,
can you hear me
hearing
now?
you very well.
That's better.
All right,
Closer. Get closer to me here.
close to you now.
So what about New York? I'm from New York.
Listen,
So.
I'm gonna put aside the whole Patriots Jets thing just for now. Just for now. I think you're a nice guy, and I'll talk to you because I think you sound like a nice guy. So I only popped in here because I saw Tim, and I know who he is. He's going to interview me in the next few weeks on a Blab. But I'm just listening to sort of your thought process, Cliff.
Yep.
And by the way, I commend you. You're making a great compensation. You're in a good place. But I feel from what I hear, you tell me what you like to do, but But what are you passionate about? And I know that sounds like a generic feel-good therapeutic question, but you know, if you don't have a passion and purpose, right, you can't build the why in your life. And that why is really why you're here. And I only say that coming from personal experience. Like, I'm not giving you life coach stuff. I'm not selling services. This is just, I'm a speaker, so this is what I do. But I always tell you, from what I'm hearing, you know, I think of a Nito Cobain quote. It says, you know, people don't make any changes in their life until the pain of remaining the same is greater than making the change. So people, I make a good compensation myself. I have a really great job. But if I want a microphone and 10,000 people and I do it for free, that's my passion. So I'm working on it. So the pain in me is more, you know, I've made it. I've made money. I'm blessed. I have my health. I'm 51. I feel great. I don't have any health issues. My blood's good. Everything's fantastic. I have 4 healthy children. You know, marriage didn't work out for 20. You know, we had 20 years and it didn't work out. But everything, I'm in a good place. But now I'm saying to myself, my pain is, I want to do more, give more, be more, accomplish more. Right. And I don't let anything stop me. And I'm hearing from you this sort of like I've done this, and I feel like you're like not hiding. I feel like you're standing behind this protective wall of your life, and you got to break through it. You got to just take a sledgehammer and you got to break right through it, because you know, as a recruiter, you know, you have, excuse me for the term, you got the biggest balls in the world, because you got to deal with all kinds of people and personalities, right? And as a technical person, you understand the nuances and the details associated with technology. So there's nothing you can't do. It's just a matter of really kind of pushing yourself in the back to just go forward. Right. That's what it sounds like to me.
Yeah, and I appreciate all that, and certainly I've been there and can process that, and I'll tell you the big balls thing is like nobody knows how brutal it is until you're a recruiter for 15 years straight. Like, if to live in that environment, and it's not only feast or famine, it's also
I cohabitate in my office. I have a suite office, and in my office is a recruiting firm. And I believe my ex-wife was a recruiter for years. I have friends who are recruiters for 25 years. I'm like, I'm surprised you guys aren't dead. I mean,
I was a recruiter in the oil industry. I recruited geologists and geophysicists for the oil company.
There you go.
I went from being an ER nurse to
where are your angel wings, woman? I mean, really?
So you guys know that recruiting is the psychological pinnacle. It is the biggest challenge because you're dealing with people. Forget about electrical circuits and software and all this other tech. It's nothing compared to what you're dealing with.
It's about communication is what it's about. Honestly, it's about being able to connect with people.
Yeah, but you got to go deeper. As a recruiter, you have to be so in tune with someone's body, you know, body gestures, eye movements, you know, words. I mean, it's these guys, you know, recruiters, I think they spend 50% of their time recruiting for new jobs, and the other 50% of the time they're like therapists, right?
That's right.
Because they have to really understand the human psyche.
It's true.
Absolutely.
Right. Because I'm up here.
You're spot on, and that's the thing. If somebody can last 2 years as a recruiter and do well and make those connections with people, and you do not have, this is different today, obviously. We didn't have this stuff. No. I started in 87 and went through 99. So whatever the numbers are there. And we just had phone. So I had to listen to breathing.
Yeah.
So not only do I have to listen to the pauses and how many times they say or how they say it, or the change when the boss walks in the room or the wife or the husband walks in the room while they're talking about moving across the country. And I sensed that. And what I did was I was able then to connect with them and say, I hear this. And they would stop and say, "How did you hear that?"
And you feel it.
I said, "I'm sensing that you've." So that's how how I survived and made it through that. And it was quite an experience for me to be able to grow in that way. So I didn't have body movements or rolling eyes or tilting of heads, which we have now. So this makes it a lot easier for others to make those connections. But this is a community thing. I know you heard my little spiel about Blab and how I feel really good about this. Is a great platform for people to make connections who normally couldn't and wouldn't and can't. They can't get out of their house. They don't have time. Here they are having a community of their own, and people gravitate to a room and stay. If they're not interested, they're going to go. If they don't feel a sense Sorry, I'm doing a little focusing here. That they belong, that they'll just kind of fall away, and that's the beauty, I think, of what. And of course, you have the X if you need it, but it's more about. I got a whole board over here. I'm not going to put my camera on it, but getting into. You talk about passion. I'm passionate about helping people move forward in their life.
Okay, hold that thought. Hold that thought. You need to
I got
that down like here.
No, I got it. It's there. It's on the board. Yeah.
But you got to live it, and I'm not going to beat you up. You got to live it, and I mean that in a very visceral way, because I just did a blab. If you want to see it, there's a replay about your mission. I'm a big Peter Drucker fan, and obviously Tony Robbins, T.D. Jakes. I mean, the list is like 20 long, from Napoleon Hill, Lawrence Whit Martin, Darren Hardy. I got them all. I love them all. Right. But I'm a big Peter Drucker fan. And he talks about if there's anything you're going to do in your life, you have to write your mission statement. And mission is not, and this is not an esoteric exercise. This is, who am I? What do I value most in people? What do I value about myself? What do I want to accomplish? And what am I here to do? So it's sort of like these 7 questions that you ask yourself. And what it does, it constantly brings you back with your, because everybody's compasses break. Everyone has a compass that breaks sometimes, because like, oh, there goes the shiny little object, let me try that. Oh, that looks really good, let me try that. So you have to gotta get your compass back on track and go to your true north. Your true north is your mission of who you are, what you represent. And I'm listening to you. Why aren't you a speaker? Why aren't you sharing your stories about your experience as a recruiter? You could set up a seminar, a webinar with saying, hey, listen, I'm going to tell you about the 15 years I spent as a recruiter, through the hardest times, through the best times. Here are things you need to look at. Oh, and by the way, there's this new thing called live streaming, and here's how I get benefit by building a community. I mean, there's no ums, ahs, pauses. You have a very fluid flow with your speech. I don't know why you're not a speaker. I don't know why you don't go to universities and talk to them about, hey, this is what's going on in the world today. It's very different from when I was a recruiter, but let me tell you what things you need to be thinking about.
Right. I mean, those are and I'm looking at maximizing my time as well. I've got X years left on this planet in this time space continuum, and it's not many X's, but you never know. But I mean, the bottom line is I want to get that message out there, and it really is about what's your message. And I don't know if you were here for that, but and what works and what happens, and going out and number one, traveling. Another thing I'm passionate about is chemicals, and I don't mean taking acid or anything, but the negative chemicals around us, especially in the United States, are very, very pervasive. They're all over the place. Right. And I became exposed back in '89. Last time I was, I recruited myself into a job when my son was born. And I worked there for 3 years in a sick building, and ended up exposed to new carpeting, and I became sensitive right here in my throat to volatile organic compounds. So I'm a canary in the coal mine. I'm fine with dust and dogs and cats, and no trouble with any. I'm not an allergy guy, and I love how people say, "Oh, you're just allergic to that chemical stuff." Well, no, I'm actually the guy that will walk into a room and say, "What the is that?" Right, and realize that there's something bad for humans in the room. Not just another human. I can sense that as well. But as far as going through that, and by the way, you mentioned ums and ahs and all that. Of course, today it's pervasive to people. And as a speaker, Anthony, and you guys are good also relative to this, is that people are using the words, in little snippets and in huge long people start sentences with, and I see it on Blab, obviously, and hear it. It's pervasive. But you know what? And it drives me nuts. So you'll appreciate this, Anthony. I was going to write a book, has got to go.
It's true. But let me tell you something that's really, I'm glad you brought that up, because think of the speakers that are now famous, right? Let's put Tony Robbins here. Let's put Darren Hardy and some of the late great Zig Ziglar, and some of these really fantastic Les Brown, Jim Rohn, the late great, the man who really started it all. Napoleon Hill, he started it all. But think about it. Gary Vaynerchuk curses. Gary Vaynerchuk says, but he's a fantastic speaker, meaning gives great content. But it seems today in this culture, and somebody correct me if I'm wrong, maybe we're all a little older and we're a little more old-fashioned, but that seems to be the acceptable way to speak nowadays. The ums, ahs, your nose. There's like this small community of TED speakers, right? They're only small because you have to work within this 18-minute framework and you have to follow a certain process. It's like Toastmasters on steroids, right? So, but a lot of speakers today, when you listen to them, like Eric Thomas, my name's Eric Thomas and I want you to do it. And I'm like, whoa, maybe. But I'm thinking that's like the next generation of speakers. I don't know. What do you guys think?
Well, there's a style like you're talking about that, and we're talking about Jim Rohn and people who would take their time and only.
They don't.
We got to stay out of Jim Rohn area because he's like the pinnacles. But what I found is that it actually is such a disjointed communique that happens today in general when people use like, and and especially is really a broken system. And if people would just stop and listen to their blabs and go back and listen to themselves, they would go, whoa. I do it. My sister's awful. She's older than me. She's well-spoken. She's intelligent. She reads. She knows way more than I do about history, and yet she has coming out of her nose. I mean, she doesn't even know it. Right. And that's the thing. It's not just acceptable. It's become a habit, obviously. And what happens, you hang around people, do drugs, you're going to probably do drugs. You hang around people listening to, you start doing it. I do it.
You're the average.
But I do it infrequently compared to most.
It's true. It's just a fact. I know it's a cheesy quote, but it's a fact. You become the 5 people you spend time with. You do. Right. It's just a fact of life. Right.
And that's the only negative thing about Blab is that people are doing it here and people are picking it up more and spreading it. It's like wildfire here.
Blab is basically a Grand Central Terminal community of people that are just coming in and out and in and out. Oh, by the way, there are little fiefdoms or little
there's cliques forming and things and groups forming, and I don't call them cliques necessarily. They're cliques everywhere, but there's good people coming together here, and that's and the ones that really want to communicate and build a community, whether they want to do it for their business or for their life or both, and that's where I am. I'm looking to make connections. I got you guys probably know Robin Rice. And I actually connected with her a week and a half ago here. I sent her a nice email. She thought I was somebody else. She wasn't sure. All of a sudden, she had an epiphany. Like, I got to talk to Cliff. I don't know why.
That's the other Cliff.
And no, what is this Cliff? But anyway, and she realized that, oh dear, and we spent an hour on the phone. Actually on a Skype 2 days ago, and she's awesome, absolutely phenomenal, and she does solo mentoring, and I'm serious that she's dead on with where she's at and what she's got going on. She's got great following as well, but and rightly so. But you talk about passion. I'm passionate about helping people realize that chemicals are not good for them the way that they're being put on us through the corporatist, the government, because they're bought out by the corporatists, and the protectionism that goes on there. It's all about greed and money, and it's not about that they think it's on the shelf at Target or at Walmart or that it's safe.
Do you do a podcast?
I don't do a podcast. And again, I'm rebranding right now. This is the thing. And Mobility for All, as you heard, is my brother-in-law's thing. I'm not going to control that.
No, but that's, right. You don't have to worry about what you can control. What you can control is what you want to do, what you want to execute on. So I would just say.
And I met I actually sent out a message to there's this movie called Stink, ! Stink the movie. Check it out. It's a phenomenal hour-and-a-half documentary that John Whalen put together. He's out of New York City. And his wife died from cancer. He integrates that beautifully and sadly into the movie. I was crying watching this movie. It's not available yet anywhere out there. He's got it in film festivals right now. I went down to Boston Globe Film Festival October 8th and met him, took him out personally to dinner afterward.
Nice.
Just because I reached out to him, and we have this chemical connection, the two of us, and I said, I want to help however I can. However, looking at that business-wise, saying, okay, do people want to talk about this? Do they want to change their life? Do they want to realize it? And for me, as a business person, since I need to shift my business and make a living.
Someone's at my door.
Yeah, go ahead. You guys listen. I know you're doing great. You're doing great listening up there, by the way. Thank you. Anyway, so the whole chemical thing is it's there. It's hurting people. They don't realize it. It's like I'm the whistleblower potentially, but there's, at the end of the day, can I make a living at it directly or just by getting sponsors, which I'm not going to have chemical companies sponsoring me.
Hey guys,
right?
I gotta run. I have an unexpected, one of my employees are here, so I'm going to talk with you, Cliff, and I want to.
Yes, let's hook up. Okay.
Definitely. Susan, thank you so much. Have a fantastic day.
Thanks. Bye.
We'll talk to you later. You know, I just wanted to say something, Cliff, just because I've been listening so much. I've heard you say, I don't know, a few different times that you want to help people find their message. So I just put a link of somebody else that's in our mastermind, Maurice Domino. He has his whole thing is create your $1 million message. And he does, I think that was this weekend, I think. He did a boot camp. But anyway, he's a really cool guy, and that's his thing, is helping people discover their message. So, but you said that you wanted to do that a few times. So
I appreciate that. And it's more of maybe not so much discover. Certainly it can help people do that, but, and it may be better business-wise, and that's just something I can pilot out there and test. What I'm thinking about, Tim says this weekend, is helping them refine it or redefine it. Everybody's message can be improved,
and it gets
and they may already,
once you get the message, it evolves. And I mean, I've been doing this relationship coaching for 25 years,
right?
And it has shifted,
right? So I thought of another kind of a cheeky thing. I'm like the GPS for your message or your story to help them guide, right? Get them back on course if they're headed somewhere and say, well, they're kind of drifting off here, and say, well, we want to keep you on message and keep you focused in and get your message refined so that people hear it. And I talk about the knows a lot, and especially now on Blab a little bit more with people because I'm here and connecting and hearing it. What happens is, like there, I could have filled it with a number of things. That not only is it a disjointed communication, but when you hear someone sort of like me, but better, speak. I heard somebody on NPR months and months ago, early spring, and I was blown away. I couldn't believe how clear and concise. Now, she was a person that works in some embassy somewhere, so she was well trained to speak in multiple languages, but she didn't she had such a clear stream of thought. I just felt like I want to marry that person because it was the clearest communication I've ever heard on radio of thought, and obviously heart thought and brain thought, and she just came out with this train, and I'm like, wow. And I go now today, I go in, forget about speaking and communicating. I go in and read stuff on some of the bigger publications online. I can't believe this stuff. It doesn't make any sense. And I'm a wordsmith. I'm a person that can read pretty much different dialects and in different ways and make sense out of a lot of different misstructured sentences and paragraphs. The stuff that's out there today, forget about typos and everything that just gets through. There's no editing going on out there. I think it's generally the younger folks who really haven't learned the art of communicating in any form today, and except through the thumbs, right? And that's obviously showing up in that area. But so it really is, I'm passionate about helping people find, not only refine and find their message and tweaking it and making it as powerful as possible and getting some ROI back. What I think people miss in their business is a lot of things because they get so busy working in it and on it as opposed to in it and not on it. Is that what is the message you're sending out with all of these things that you're touching your clientele or your constituency with, and having a critical eye come in and look at it and say, would you mind having some feedback here? And then give them some guidance. Once again, it's kind of a GPS for their business in the communication sense. Does that make sense?
Sure.
Yeah, that could be it. Someone just came in the room. If anybody wants to take a seat, Tim, you can, or if the other person that came in. I think, Cliff, did you want me to tell you? We were talking about our books. Yep. We're doing a blab at 4 o'clock today. Actually, 4 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, so 7 New York time. You're in, where are you?
Boston.
Boston. Okay, so you're 3 hours. So yeah, we actually have another publisher that is kind of along the lines of these books. So we're going to be doing that blab today. So, and you can find out all about all the stories at discoveryourbooks.com. So anyway,
is that 4 p.m. Eastern or?
Oh no, Pacific
Standard
Time.
Time.
So 7.
Okay, make sure you record it. I can't be here. Rare that I'm not here, but I can't be here at 7 o'clock tonight. So.
Oh no, that's okay.
Cool.
So if anybody else wants to get in, otherwise we're probably going to wrap it up because we have some other things. I just wanted to go about an hour today, but we're going to do, like I said, another one. We're going to be doing more of these as well because I really like to get people to come in and all brainstorm, like masterminding ideas for businesses. And I love what you were having to say, and you have so many great things that you sound like you're passionate about. So I'm kind of where you are, Cliff, where, I've owned this business. I started 17 years ago, and it's a brick and mortar tutoring center, but I've got people running that, but I really want to get out of that and eventually sell it and then help other people and do this kind of thing and help people with the businesses too. I have these little niches. So I'm kind of where you are. I'm kind of rebranding myself as well.
I like to see you relaunch that book because on Amazon, it only had one review from somebody that was related to one of the storytellers.
We're doing a launch November.
Oh, good.
November, what is it, the 10th or the 2nd?
Yeah, 9th and the 10th, we're going to be doing a bestseller campaign. And this seriously, we just got these like the last month.
Right.
So
I know.
we're starting, and we want to really start building all the other books and getting stories for them because, the thing about this book and doing it, I had my story that I wanted to tell that people seemed to inspire people. But when I started thinking, well, do I want to write a book just about that? And then I just am so fascinated by people's stories. Every single person has a story that will inspire someone else or help them. So we put this together. I got 15 authors. And then there's actually, if you go to the website under appearances, you can listen to some of the interviews we did. And what it did for those people writing the story was just amazing. It was so therapeutic for them to just write their story. One of them, we have 2 men in the story. All the rest are women. But the one man in there, he sent his story to me. And it didn't really get into the nuts and bolts. He grew up, oh my gosh, with all kinds of things like drug abuse and all kinds of things with his family. And I said, come on, get deeper and really tell it. He goes, really? You want me to tell that stuff? I said, yeah. And he did, and his story's phenomenal. But just what it did for him therapeutically to put it out there. And then another girl in there said, you know what, I've never told the story about what my mom did to me growing up. And just putting it out there for the whole world to read, just it freed her in some way.
I understand. Yeah.
And it's such a cool experience. And then having other people read them, I don't know, I'm just pretty excited about it. So I really want to get a lot of authors for the next book.
Yeah, I like it. I like the series. I like what you're doing with it. And I would be critical about it if I didn't, because that's what I do. I'd say, I don't like you shouldn't have done this. But I want to see you do well with it because I think it is that thing where people the story is everything, right? That's what it's about. And your story is what motivates people to do things, either see things, feel things. Obviously, the feeling is where you want to go because that's what moves people forward. I'm not alone in the world. Other people are doing this or feeling this way, and like your story, you've got a story that you tell. Not everybody was married to a rock star, but they can relate to the pain of those things that you went through, where you were second fiddle or fourth fiddle at best some days, if not ignored, and then the heartache and general stuff. So and that's in and of itself. Each of us have a story, and my father's story is amazing, very sad but very hard life. It would be an amazing story of inspiration as well. And he turned what I call lemons into lemonade. He was. In fact, I'll leave you with one quote that he said to his guy. He became a fire marshal upstate New York. In fact, if you guys ever saw Jim Carrey do the Fire Marshal Bill goof stuff that he does, he lights stuff on fire in the schools. This is what my father did, and that's where I think Jim Carrey and those guys got this from. They actually heard about my father back in the 70s and 80s, and somebody relayed this information. It's crazy guys coming in like a super fire Nazi and lighting stuff on fire in front of the kids and scaring the shit out of them. And people come up to me today and they say, thank God, he scared me to the point where we have an exit plan. We know that smoke kills more than the fire. We know that when our kids are sleeping upstairs that they're safe and they know how to get out of the house and don't go through a door without touching it. No, He scared these kids straight when they were 7 years old. So he did his work there, and he said, and what he said to Kip, the guy that was taking over for him as he was winding down because of Parkinson's, he said, Kip said to him, see, you know, Bill, and he actually used my father's name, Bill, Fire Marshal Bill. He said, you're not making many friends out here. They were walking out of a Kmart that they had just locked down because they were not to code. And he says, he turns to Kip and he stopped walking. My father had this bad limp. He had a bad motorcycle accident in 67. You talk about breaking through and inspiring. They said he'd never walk again. Well, not only did he walk, he biked across New York a number of times to go to a fire convention, bicycle. He turned to Kip and he stopped and he said, Kip, I got one funeral and seating is limited.
Wow.
That was it. And he started walking again. This was what Kip, I didn't know this until his funeral, when Kip actually stood there and told the story. And I'm getting goosebumps now but that's how my father was. He didn't care what people thought. He was doing the right thing for the right reason. And that was it. He was saving lives ahead of time and making sure that people were as protected as possible when they walked into an establishment or when they taught their kids later on in life. So that was, some great story from a really rough life that my father had. So just a little story to leave you with. Thank you so much. I will stay in touch with both you guys and obviously Tim and get a hold of Anthony. Thanks so much for doing this. This is awesome.
Thank you, Susan, for being my co-host. Huh?
I said to Cliff, thanks for jumping in.
Yeah, definitely. We're going to do more of these. So thank you so much.
Series on the Getting What You Want ones about relationship and just the work that I do, and my focus is really a lot on getting people to go outside their comfort zone and stretch. Right. I was interviewed on a radio show yesterday with Walt Grassel, and we spent most of the hour talking about how to stretch, go outside your comfort zone, and what the end result of that is. So
yeah, I'm going to move my camera. Don't get sick. Here we go. I want to show you that. I don't know if you can see that top right.
Comfort zone.
There you go.
So funny.
And that's the thing, is about what works, what's your message, relationship, redeveloping, personal, business. And the challenge for me is not what can I do, is how do I do it and make enough money so I can continue to do it for more people. That's my challenge.
It's a challenge.
It's not about.
It's a challenge for all of us, actually.
I understand that. Yeah. No, I understand. Thank you. And hopefully somebody heard something here today that they can take away and help them.
Yep.
That's the whole purpose of this. So totally. So thank you again.
We'll see you online again for sure.
Yeah, we'll be here. I'm here. I know you guys. I see you. I know where
Thank you. Thank you, Susan, and we'll see you with me at 4 o'clock Pacific Standard Time. So I hope anybody who's listening or watching will come back today at 4 p.m.
And we'll talk about books this afternoon. A lot more about books.
Yes, it's called Write a Book, Get a Date. So we're going to find
exploring the subject.
Yeah. So, okay. Bye-bye.